Well, hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, the host of Streaming Idiots, and I sure am glad that you took time out of your schedule to come comfort me in all my woes today. Tom, what woes have you got? Oh, woe is me. Yeah. No, we just had a lot of fun earlier today testing out a bunch of new stuff and of course crashed the computer, so we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But hey, welcome to those of you that are watching live and hanging out in the chat room. Y'all need to behave now. And welcome to those of you that are watching on YouTube. We're glad to have you with us. Come join us one Wednesday afternoon. We're live at 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock in London, depending on what time of year it is, about 5 a.m. in Australia on Thursdays. It's weird. We've got a packed show. Hopefully we can get everything in today. We're going to talk a little bit more about the NewTek NDI protocol and the effects that it's going to have on our industry. I've started a new project. It's a camera-mounted monitor, and I think we can do the whole thing for way less than $100. So we'll get into that. Eastern Shore Broadcasting, that's my company right here. We're offering a new service, and we'll talk about that. And then we also had a request from an Arabic TV station in Canada to show us how to make the ticker go backwards. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So it's going to be a packed show and a lot of fun, and I can see I'm already getting a hard time from the guys in the chat room. But hey, the idea with the show is that you can do a really good broadcast. You know, the motto, one guy, one PC, one awesome broadcast. It can be done. It is being done. Now, you can be the judge of whether or not this is awesome. But if you go back in YouTube and look at some of my early shows, back in the old days, 3.5 years ago. Yeah, Al's in chat. Al was the guest on my very second show ever, which I think Al continues to be the show that has had the most hits of any show that we've done. We need to get Al to come on again. Al's the VidBlaster guru, talking about the API and macros, so we'll get him to come on and help us with the show. Let's get this NDI stuff out of the way. NDI, for those of you that are saying, NDI, what's that? It's called Network Device Interface. NDI, right? Network Device Interface, something like that. Anyway, it is a protocol designed by NewTek. That's the Tricaster folks. And it allows you to send and receive data over Ethernet. Well, there's not news there. But they have two things going on. One is a compression scheme, and the other is the ability for that for your let's call it your host PC to locate a camera that's attached to a remote PC on the same network and bring that camera into your broadcast as if it were attached to your PC, i.e. less than 1 frame of latency. In fact, I think they were talking the other day about in a 1080p scheme, like less than 20 lines of latency. That's amazing. 17 lines, says Chris. Thank you, Chris. 17 is less than 20. Anyway, that's amazing because that's not ever been the case with IP, Internet Protocol cameras. So this new protocol, NDI, is going to expand the capability, which means you know, for the big guys that are doing lots of cool stuff, where they've got a broadcast PC, and then they've got an instant replay PC, and then they've got a PC that does nothing but graphics, and another PC that may do nothing but statistics. And all of those are available to the broadcast PC as if they were all on the broadcast PC. And they don't have to run a lot of extra SDI cables or sound. I mean, audio will transfer over this stuff too. So it really is going to be cool. The questions come out, and this was one of the first questions I have, which is, if this is a local network protocol, it's a local network, very, very, very small local network. Well, it could be a huge local network, but nevertheless, if it's a local network protocol, will it work in a virtual local network, or a VPN, a virtual private network? And I did a lot of research on VPNs. I haven't talked to anybody to speak of And so far the guys at vMix are not answering this question, and they may not know. It may be all too soon. But from what I can tell in just trying to do the math, well, let's see, I've got a graphic for it here. Yeah, it's a graphic, yay. If a camera is going to be 50 to 100 gigs of data, should that be M's? Yeah, that should be MBs, not GBs. Sorry, don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. How about with this? Do this right there. There we go. If the camera's going to be like 100 to 500 megabytes, which is amazing, that's amazing. But a virtual private network requires that you've got a host here and then you've got a client here. And if the client's going to send information to the host, it's going to upload it to the internet. And then it's going to pass through the internet on this VPN tunnel, and then it's going to come back down to the host over here. And so the host is actually receiving the camera feed from the remote PC via the virtual private network. The problem is that the slowest link in this transfer is what's going to govern the speed of the entire connection. And the slowest link in the transfer is going to be the uplink from the client, probably. So if you've got a client out in the field and they've got I think I measured my uplink today. We had a big thunderstorm last night, so I think it slowed things up, knocked out. I'm on a Mediacom cable internet, and I think my uplink was 20. So, I could send, 10 to 15 as a camera feed, but I'm not going to be able to send 50 to 100. I just don't have the bandwidth. Now, on a good day, my bandwidth is not 20, it's almost 30. But still, 30 is not 50, and it's certainly not 100. And sorry, this is not gigabytes, this is megs. Yeah, Al's saying, man, I wish I had 20. I struggle with 4. Al, I remember struggling with what did I have? 400K to make a video stream in. But that's a story for another time. So the answer, I think, at least my preliminary answer to will NDI support VPN, or can VPN be used with NDI? And the answer is probably not for most people, because of the uplink internet speed. Now, if you're on a fiber network and you got 100 down and 100 up, then you can probably send a camera, maybe 2. But you're not going to be able to send 4 cameras. Anyway, so there's Tom's answer. Will NDI work over VPN? And my answer is, for most of us, probably not. For most of us, probably not. Now, will NDI work over wireless? Yeah, maybe. That's the next question that I want to try to address and try to test it right here. I need to get my hands on NDI. I need to get my hands on. So we need vMix to go ahead and hurry up and release that beta so that we can all play with it and find out about it. Okay, so let's clean off that graphic. Let's talk a tad about this project and what we've got here. Let me bring in the cam, and in fact I'm going to use a remote control and we'll just set it up for you. This is the studio shot right here, and don't pay any attention to all those wires. Most of them don't do anything anyway. But you see I've got 2 monitors here, and then there's a big monitor in the middle. Well, that big monitor in the middle, let's see if we can get it to zoom, is attached to my antique Canon Vixia HF-R100, which is the main camera for the show today. And if you try to separate some of the stuff, some of the camera stuff from the background, let's see, do I have anything I can help with that? Yeah, I can do that. Let's see if we can do that. Just kind of quick and dirty right there. Okay, so you can see you've got the camera and then there's a little bracket that comes out of the bottom right of the camera and then comes up and then over the top that the monitor's mounted on. And then you can see the HDMI cable that's plugged into the side. And you can't really see, but on the back of the camera there's a little trap door, and there's a little jack there that would normally be the composite output for the camera. And that's what the monitor is plugged into now. What you say, well, Tom, that's all nice, but there's no video on that. Well, there isn't any video on it, and that's because I don't have any power for the monitor right now. But getting the bracket was the first step. Well, actually, getting the monitor was the first step. Getting the bracket. I've had the monitor for over a year. Yeah, you want to know about the monitor? Here's the monitor. It is a pillow TFT LCD. It's intended to go into the back of a headrest in an automobile. And I think it was, I don't know, 20, 25 bucks. Now, Rich said that he saw some on eBay that were about 12 bucks, and they were intended as a backup monitor, again, for an automobile. Al's saying in the chat, you know, so that's 12 volts DC, right? Yes, that's right, 12 volts DC. So what I am trying to do, and I'm not sure it's going to work now that Al says that, but what I'm trying to do is to try to power this device with a camera battery and wire that directly into the monitor so that this can be a somewhat portable type system. And I guess, you know, I could hardwire it into an electrical outlet, but that's just one more wire to have to bring into it. And if I have a fully charged camera battery, you know, maybe I can get, you know, 2 or 3 hours out of the monitor. Anyway, that's the experiment that comes next, is can we connect a camera battery to the monitor. I've ordered a back, what is it called? I think it's called a back plate or a battery plate that will actually, you can put the battery in it, and there's a hot and ground wire coming off of it that will power different devices. And actually there's a monitor set up very similar to this that has the battery plate to it, and but it was $180, which was a little out of my price range. I'm thinking this whole kit can be done. Now that I know about Rich's $12 monitor, I'm thinking this whole kit can be done for about 50 bucks, maybe 75. Tommy, who's up in Reeltown, Alabama, said he mounted one of these. He mounted one of these along with a backup camera on his 1950 Ford tractor, so he could see behind him and watch in front of him at the same time. You know, farmers are very, very unique individuals. Sorry, there's no such thing as very unique. Farmers are unique individuals, and they figure out things that the rest of them can't. No, Al, there's no car battery under the desk. At least not yet. We might get to that point. It just depends on how easy it is to make this work the way that I have it designed to work, which is powered by a camera battery and very portable and less than $75, hopefully less than $50 when all is said and done. And I'll be updating you guys as I've got some parts on order, so as the parts come in, I'll be updating you guys as to, yes, one more look at that. And there are lots of different brackets out there. I picked this one because I knew it would go around this Canon Vixia, but you can also, if your camera has a hot shoe on it, then the monitor will just mount to the hot shoe. It's not going to be powered by the hot shoe, but it'll mount to the hot shoe. And Rich says they make an RG59 Siamese cable for video and power. We'll have to look into that. Thank you, Rich. Good thought. Good thought. Okay. So that's the idea with them. And I'm thinking something like this is going to be great for sports broadcasters for sure, because who wants to look at a little teeny screen like this and have to pan and tilt and zoom for 2 or 3 hours on a little screen like that. A larger screen will make it better, and they actually make a little sunshade to go over it so you can see it when you're in sun. So we'll keep you abreast of that one as it goes on. Side note here, quick side note. I had mentioned probably a year ago, maybe has it been that long, about a portable PC that we were building that I ran into all sorts of problems with right off the bat and realized I was going to have to modify the case extensively in order to get a motherboard to fit in there. So that kind of pushed that project back a while. But I'm encouraged because I had to I had to do some modifications to a PC here in order to get a card to fit, and so I got to use a Dremel tool to cut out some hunks of sheet metal that were in the way, which is exactly what I need to do on this other project. So I'm thinking these newfound Dremel tool skills might get us going. Oh yeah, you can see the little corners of my desk out there. I'm going to pull back the curtain for just a second and show you what the studio looks like here. And there's a little wrinkle there. Let's see if we can pull that wrinkle out. There we go. It's just covering up a work desk over here on the side. Is that going to stay? Okay, now we'll go back and see, did that take care of our problem? Yeah, there we go. Well, most of it. There's a little bit of, well, actually, you can see a little bit of a magazine right there. Oh, I know. That's when I was adjusting that camera in pre-show. Got it. Okay. Well, one change begets another change. So let's talk about the backward scrolling text. I think that's going to be pretty fun. And it's really pretty simple. It's not simple. It's a little complicated, but it's not that bad. The idea is that there is a text file on your PC. This is in vMix now. There's a text file that vMix has provided for you that you can modify that will allow the text to scroll forwards. And you'll say, okay, Tom, what are you talking about text? Well, what if we had, oh, I've erased it. Let's put it back in. Let's say I want to do a ticker. And yeah, we'll make this ticker go. We'll just send this ticker across. There you go. You can see the ticker. There it is. Some wonderful text. And we'll go in and we'll move it up a little bit here. Can we do that? Yeah, I think we can. There we go. And for those of us that speak well, I don't know if it's most of the languages in the world, but some languages in the world, this would go the right direction. But if you were speaking Arabic or Greek and maybe some others, you really need it to not scroll this way, but you need it to scroll this way. How to make it scroll that way? All right, well, let's take this ticker off. And let's go to a screen capture. And this is a screen capture of Microsoft WordPad. Woo! Okay. So we're going to go into WordPad and we're going to open, there we go, open. And we're going to navigate our way through the PC to the C drive, to the programs file subdirectory, to the vMix subdirectory, and to the titles subdirectory. And then we're going to tell WordPad we want to see all documents. And we're going to scroll down to Ticker HD, which is a Windows markup file. So we'll double click that one. And we get all this wonderful text. And we need to come down to this section that says animated ticker. There we go. And we're going to change where it says to 1920 from who knows what. We're going to just change the words. So we're going to change it from, and then to. And I'm imagining, oops, not Tom. 2. I'm imagining that 1920 is the width, and so that would be all the way to the right, or all the way to the left. Well, we'll see. And so let's save this file. We'll save it. And let's go back here, and let's refresh. You guys are not going to see me do this. Anyway, I'm going to just put in a new ticker. And let's see. One more time, put in a new ticker. There we go. Okay, if we did it right, we'll put it on the screen. No, we didn't do it right. Well, maybe we have to restart. Well, let's try it. Let's do this. Let's just close that one out. We'll just add a new one and see if that gets it to work. I may have to start vMix to make this work. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to restart the program. But it worked so beautifully earlier. But the idea is, oh, you know what? I know what I did. I changed this earlier, and I forgot to change it back. So I have just now changed it back to the way it should have been to begin with. So it's going from 1922, nothing. So we need to go back and change this the way it was. To, not Tom, from. Let's see if that'll work. Probably won't, but we'll try it. So we'll save it, and we'll open up a new input. Y'all are having lots of fun with this, I can tell. Ticker. No, that one didn't work. So I must have to restart the software. That's my bad. But you've got the idea. You know where to go to find this. And Rich is saying, make sure you make a backup of the original file first. Don't do that. It's more fun to screw it up and then spend 6 hours trying to figure out how to find your mistake. No, absolutely, Rich. Make a backup first. Did I make a backup? Yeah. Well, let's see. Next subject. Moving right along here in the show. Moving right along in the show. Thanks, Rich. Gee whiz. It's like, yeah, what color is Tom's underwear today? I get a lot of calls, and I'm delighted. If you want to call me, go to easternshorebroadcasting.com. Whoops, there it is. And go to the contact page. My phone number's on there. You can look up my phone number. Don't call me in the middle of the night, please, Rich. My email's there. You can use the contact form to send me an email, or you can just drop it in the email to tom@easternshorebroadcasting.com. But I get a lot of calls from folks that are saying, you know, we really want to, we've been streaming for a while, we've been using a borrowed computer or somebody's laptop or this or that, or in some cases, you know, a PC that I built, and, you know, it works great for standard definition, but now we're ready to move up. But we don't have the budget, Tom, to let you build us a PC because we know it's going to cost $1 zillion, which it won't, but nevertheless, they think they can't afford me. But you probably can. But for folks that are in that situation and want to have a second set of eyes and a second brain, damaged as it might be, have a look at your specs or your plan or your workflow or whatever you're working with, we'll do that. We'll do that. The fee is $150 to critique your specs or to help you develop a set of specs. And we're happy to do that for folks that just can't afford to have us build them a PC. But you also might want to get us to quote you. And since we will have done all the work in helping you do it, and we quote you, we'll refund you the $150. So I think that's going to be a really helpful deal for most folks that are in that situation. Boy, I thought I was looking over my show notes, and I've got all these show notes, and I look over at the time, and I was like, boy, Tom, you've you've just bopped through your time. Tommy's asking me in the chat, do I take food stamps? I might have to. Yeah, I might have to. No, I'm just teasing. No, just teasing. What are some of the other projects that we've got going on? Golly gee, I've got 4 projects simultaneously, and you should never do that. You should always finish a project before you go on to the next one, right? Yep. We're just putting the finishing touches on our talk show turnkey system, and this will be the turnkey system that will allow you to put 4 microphones into a PC, and each microphone comes in as if it were on its own sound card. Why is that important? Because there's some software now that will switch cameras in vMix based on which microphone is being used. So it listens to each one of the microphones on the sound cards and says, aha, this microphone has activity. We're going to switch the camera to that microphone. And yes, if 2 of them are talking at the same time, it switches to an alternate shot. And we've got some radio stations that are very interested in that, waiting for us to finish this stuff up. And it's that far from being done. I actually need to do some more testing to make sure it's as bulletproof as I think it is. And then one of the other radio stations, well, one of the radio stations we were talking with about that said, Tom, that's great, but really we want to do that and we want to do Skype calls. Will it work for Skype calls? Well, yes, actually it will work for Skype calls, because when a Skype call comes in, it's its own audio signal, and so it'll switch based on a Skype call too. And then somebody said, well, you know, we want to have 2 Skype calls come in. Oh gosh, you're killing me. And we want to be able to have guests in the studio, and we want to be able to have Skype guests coming in all simultaneously. And I said, okay, guys, as much as I am your one PC, one guy, one PC, one broadcast guy, I don't see where that's going to be the best way to solve that problem. And while I am committed to the one man, one PC philosophy, I don't want to be so committed to a philosophy that I try to force everybody into something that's not going to work for them. So I've been doing some experimenting with some extra PCs here in the studio, and I've got tons of spare parts on hand from all the failed projects in the past. So I have put together 2, I won't say new PCs, but 2 PCs that have never been in this configuration before. They're old 2nd generation i7 processors, so there's nothing fancy, nothing high tech, and they will. Somebody's saying the world as we know it is ending. The idea is that each one of those PCs would be connected to the internet. Each one of those PCs would have its own Skype name, its own Skype address, and would be receiving a feed from guest number 1 and guest number 2, and then those PCs would output the audio and the video to the broadcast PC that would receive the video and the audio and be able to mix those and listen to the audio so that it could switch between the guests, the local guests as well as the distant guests. And then also the host PC would be able to then send back to the remote PCs audio and video. So Al says Sinclairosaurus. Well, that's exactly right. It's what Leo Laporte did with his Skypeosaurus years and years ago. So it's not new technology. But hey, I'll tell you, this is what NewTek is doing with their PC-based Skype system called TalkShow. So for $3,000, you can get a single, what do they call it, a 1U rack mount PC that you can put in your rack and hook your broadcast PC up to it. And they've got all sorts of proprietary software that makes it simple. I'm figuring that we can do the same thing without all the proprietary software for $1,000 less. And have actually configured it in a rack system. So we'll be looking at this. Can one person realistically run this? Oh, that's a great question, Tommy. The answer is yup. That's what Al says. Yup. It's certainly easier if you are not the main host. If you're a producer, you can run it easily. But with the automatic switching software, and let's say you've got yourself and two guests in the studio and two remote guests, so there's a panel of 5 of you, or maybe you're the moderator and you've got two locals and two remotes, a Democrat and a Republican, whatever the case may be. The software does all the switching, so you don't have to worry about the switching, and the software and vMix, of course, allows you to switch the camera with the lower third. So when it automatically switches to this shot of me in the studio, it includes my backdrop, it includes my lower third, it includes my graphics, and of course it includes me and my audio. So that's seamless. There are 5 cameras that are being switched virtually automatically. And you can program in, if 2 or more cameras talk, what shot do you show? And my guess is that you would get you'd do a CNN or a Fox type shot where there would be 5 boxes in the screen, 1 for each one of you, and it would flip to that shot. So it would work supposedly seamlessly. Now there's some adjustments to all that where you have to adjust the microphones to a certain level in order to pick it up, and you have to determine, of course, what shots you're going to have and what your thresholds are. And that's some of the tweaking that we're doing right now so that it's working. So this is vMix with a separate little piece of helper software that uses the vMix API. The helper software listens to the audio stream, and based on that, it switches the cameras. And Al says, what happens when a dog barks in the background? Well, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, does it make a sound? There's your answer, Al. When a dog barks in the background, it switches to that camera. Keep your dogs out. Yeah, that's right. Don't let the postman come. All right. Well, we have bloody well taken this train right off the rails, haven't we? Quick recap. I know we're a little bit out of time, but VPN over NDI, meh. Not sure that that's going to happen unless you've got a super duper internet connection. Can guarantee a good throughput all the way through. Might be able to, but that's hard to say. The camera mounted monitor setup, you want to keep an eye on us in the future. I hope to have an update on that next week. Might even be able to complete the project this week. Next week, I don't know. It just depends on when we can get parts in. Actually, probably won't be next week because one of the parts that I ordered last night, I think said was going to be 7 to 10 days to get here. But it's coming from the States, so maybe it'll come sooner. The backward scrolling text, I'm sorry we weren't able to get that work right. I suspect it was something that I was doing, screwing it up. But if you're curious about that and you want more than just my little demo, you can go to the vMix forum, go to vmix.com and click support tab and then go to forums. And then go look on the features list, because you can see I did a feature request on that. Somebody slapped me on the hand and said, we already know how to do that. You didn't look back far enough. I looked back 1.5 years. Apparently 3 years ago somebody had said how to do it. And then we're offering a new service where we'll consult with folks that want to build their own streaming PCs. So thank you for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun bringing all this stuff to you and at least trying to make some sense of it. Oh, one last question. Can't you run a VPN on a local LAN? If the VPN is right there in the same building, then yeah, probably you could. But I'm thinking if I want to pull a camera, if I'm in Fairhope, Alabama, and I want to pull a camera from San Francisco over a VPN, that's where the issue is going to be. But yes, Al, I think you're right. You can run a VPN if it's probably local, but it's just not on the same LAN. But if you can hook into that LAN through a VPN, that would work. I think. We don't know. We'll find out. Hey, those of you watching live, hang around for the post show because Kevin's got snacks. And Kevin, did you bring snacks last week? Well, then maybe it's Rod's turn. Anyway, maybe Rod brought snacks last week. Okay, well, it's Rich's turn. Anyway, between the three of you guys, y'all figure out that snack thing real quick. And we'll catch you soon. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for coming. And we'll see you next time.